wow, your passion is great. You're also an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have imposter syndrome. I mentioned that earlier, but that's the disease I have. So just bear with me.
I do too.
Yeah, don't we all?
My goodness. It's so hard. Like I look in the mirror and I'm like, who do you think you are?
I know. What are you doing? Are you wearing jeans today? Who do you think you are? Yeah.
What? I mean, come on. You're going to go put on a happy face and then you're going to come home and you go, bleh. And it's like, I think I'm so glad they labeled the imposter syndrome. And I found out like I'm not the only person who suffers from it. And it's like everybody feels like, I think it's okay to have a persona and a personality and a put on a happy face that we bring into the world. And it doesn't have to be 24/7. I mean, I feel like I'm coming to terms with the imposter syndrome and I'm just saying it's all of me.
Yeah.
And I like it. It's like all of me.
Yeah. I have no choice but to like it. It's there.
Exactly. And if it's who you are and that's what you bring around, I might as well like it.
Yeah.
Even move toward loving it because it's all of me anyway.
Yep.
I interviewed Isabella Rossellini years ago, and the name of her book was Some of Me. I said, why some of me? She goes, there's no way I would ever let anyone know about all of me. And it was that part that was part of that imposter syndrome that you want to hide that you don't think is good enough.
Well, hide, but also I've also been learning because I'm quite the oversharer. I mean, I tell everybody all of my business all the time, and I really need to like take a step back from that. But there's also I heard somebody say like that there are some parts that you should keep sacred for yourself. And so it's not that you have shame about it necessarily, but it's like some things you should be yours. And so I've been thinking about that a lot, but I mean, it's still so hard because I'm like, if I meet you, I'm telling you my medical history and my trauma because I'm like, I want to put it all up front.
Right.
You know?
And know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
And this is all that. Well, but you didn't do that at all when we met.
I know. I'm trying really hard.
I want you to know.
Thank you.
You did a great job.
Thank you very much.
You just showed me some of you.
I did a very tiny little piece.
There. If you're within the sound of my voice, you are listening to or watching the Sterling Spin podcast. I'm excited to bring you tools for living, learning, loving, laughing, and for your overall well-being. Each week, we have a new show for you. You never know who's going to be in the studio. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know who's going to be in the studio a month ago. She was delivered. Karisa, Garner. Welcome to the program.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
When I say you were delivered, I mean, you literally, we were at a chamber event. I said to someone, I'm looking for someone to help me to do some little social media. And about 10 minutes later, Laura from Butterscotch Studios came and said, I'd like you to meet Karisa because she's going to help you with your social media. So let me start by saying thank you for showing up.
Of course. Of course.
I'll tell everybody a little more about you, and then we'll get into the conversation.
All right.
And you just look so beautiful.
Thank you. It's the eyelashes.
I love your eyelashes. Can we do it later? I can put eyelashes on too. I decided to title today's show, Art, Creativity, When Life Leads You to Love Your Life. Because this is a woman who smiles a lot, laughs a lot, and loves what she does when she's doing it. And that seems to change here and there. She's a creative force, in my opinion. And every movement and every program needs a creative force. We've got a few in this studio. Karisa Garner is a community activist, artist, and the newest member of the Sterling Spin team. From building programs in affordable housing and mental health to launching an art revival in Waco, Texas, Karisa's superpower is knowing how to bring life, light, and attention to what matters most. So let's spin it up with Karisa Garner here in the studio today. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you.
Me too.
I remember when I first interviewed Anthony, came in, and we were like getting ready to start the show, and he was coming on as a producer, and we had all this excitement. And you've come in and you've brought in another level of excitement, of enthusiasm and creativity. So tell us, the first time you were in the studio, you came in with your camera, you decided to take a few pictures. How many?
400, yeah. For each episode that was being filmed. I didn't know. I don't know. Can never have too many.
You were like, I have 400 pictures. I'm like, okay, what happens with them? What are you doing with these pictures?
So I'm getting them off my phone first so I can have storage so I can take pictures of my cat. And I'm uploading them into the Google Drive, and then I'm using those for promotion.
So you've got the Sterling Spin going. It's on Instagram, and I noticed you've been putting up some reels and some shorts. This is not language that I've been familiar with. Fortunately, people have called me the talent. But I really think that you're the one who has the talent here, and our producer's the one who has the talent, and our live streamer has the talent, and our soundboard, Ryan, has the talent. So there's so much talent in this studio, and I'm just so excited. You come with a whole history, a background that you brought, somebody who is an advocate, who cares about people, been involved in housing, and then we'll get to talk a little bit about your art development.
Yeah.
But let's just start with how you got to care about your community and what inroads you made.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I went to school for sociology, which if you talk to anybody who got a degree in sociology, the joke is like, you know, what do you do with it? Nobody uses their degrees, but I was lucky enough to stumble upon an opportunity to actually use my degree, which is really exciting. So I started as a case manager, which is like a social worker, except you're not allowed to say that. Less school,
Right.
No letters after my name, make like $2,000 less a year. But essentially, I was doing social work. So I started working for a program that does street outreach. So for people experiencing homelessness who also have mental health issues, it's a national program. It's called PATH, Projects for Assistance and Transition from Homelessness. It's fantastic.
Wow.
It's not a ton of money to do a lot of work with, but essentially the grant that we get pays for exactly enough salary for the case managers to exist. And we go into campsites. I say we as if I'm still doing it, but in essence I am. But we would go into campsites. We would go under bridges. We would basically go to where the need was. And it's a little bit different than other case managers who have clients come to them in their office. Like some of the other mental health case managers would have appointments where clients would come to the offices, but we were working with people kind of before they got to that level of stability. So we would be going out to find people, tell them about what we do. And sometimes it would take months, maybe years to build trust and to where somebody was ready to take the next step in engagement. And so a lot of times it was just going sometimes to the same exact people, offering help. If they didn't take it, it's kind of like, all right, no harm, no foul. I'm here if you need me, and I'm going to come right back. And so it was really rewarding, but also like any civil service job, exhausting, a lot of compassion fatigue. It's thankless sometimes.
I've never heard that phrase, compassion fatigue.
Yeah, so it's that's a phrase that's used a lot in the healthcare work in the field. Just kind of, it's essentially like putting all of yourself into someone else, and how that can be exhausting in itself. Just like caring and giving so much of yourself.
So we used to like call it like being codependent.
It's not so much like I'm receiving something, like we're not giving and receiving each other. It's more like I'm giving a lot of myself, and there's only also so much you can do. And so it's I would almost like kind of compare it to how maybe parenting is sometimes. It's a lot to give to somebody else, and it can really like just wipe you out. I mean, like burnout.
Especially, right. If you are giving more to someone than they want to receive, then the equation is imbalanced.
Yeah.
And that's where I can really see that fatigue coming.
Yeah, and it's tough too because this is my favorite part of the work, but the entire idea of like being a case manager and maybe some of like what the difference is between like some other type of like caring relationships is I'm completely unbiased. You give nothing to me. I mean, like to the point where, you know, we would have clients who were so thankful. Like we'd help them move into their home, get them Social Security benefits, get them, you know, connected to mental health resources, and they'd want to give us something in return. And I've had clients like want to give me money, make me banana bread, give me flowers, so many things, have me over for dinner, and I can't, and I won't because then that creates an imbalance in what our relationship is, and it to me like sullies the relationship. You don't owe me anything. Like I'm doing this because it's my job. I'm doing this because you deserve help, and you should not have to give anything of yourself to get your basic needs met, essentially.
Well, I just want to say, having had casework experience myself.
I was going to say, it's very similar to what you do.
Many, many years ago, I worked as a representative for an agency in New York. And our clientele were Vietnamese refugee minor children who had been placed in foster care when they came to America. They were Amerasians. And it was really the same thing. Like, I'm there helping the families in order to make sure that everybody's needs were met. But casework is very demanding.
Yes.
I could work like 14, 15 hours a day because if you're with a family and they needed you, you don't say, I'm off the clock. You're there and you give. It sounds like, though, you have very good boundaries.
Yeah. I was a case manager for 3 years, and then I moved into supervision for that program I was in. And then 3 years after that, during COVID, like right when COVID started was when I became a I became a supervisor during COVID. And then a few years later is when I became a program manager, which is the part I loved. I love supporting support staff because I get to be the person to help them enforce boundaries and also like give them permission to set boundaries. And it's too important because if you don't have good boundaries, then you are going to burn out and you're going to leave on a bad note if you leave the profession, and you're also going to take out your frustration, your grievances, your exhaustion on the wrong people. And the easy target is the vulnerable individuals that you're working with. And that was one of the first things I saw when I started working in the field was I would see people and I'm like, oh, I can tell you hate your job. And if you hate your job, don't do social work, don't work in social services, like don't work in a care profession, because the people who are receiving services are very vulnerable. And if you're not greeting them with all of the like love and joy and support, then you're doing them a disservice, and it's not their fault.
And I think a lot of people who have these needs are highly sensitive people too. You don't really get it. You think that because the environments that they're living in are not like ideal or in a home, but the sensitivity level and the vulnerability level is very high.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I was working in mental health. And so, you know, you even though you don't know what everybody's diagnosis is or if everybody even has a diagnosis, like our requirements for like they have to have a mental health issue and experience homelessness was pretty loose. It was like if you as the professional observe that there may be an issue, which I'm like, if somebody is experiencing homelessness, they at least are stressed. They at least have a little anxiety. Like, I'm just going to assume. But it was also, you know, if they have an actual diagnosis or if they are self-reporting that they have some kind of mental health issue. And so the idea of also like person-centered care is kind of approaching, and trauma-informed care, which are principles that are really important in our work.
That's another one that's new for me. This trauma-informed care.
You know, if you've worked in this kind of field, though, it's something that you've practiced. There wasn't a name for it.
We didn't have a word for it.
Yeah, so it's essentially like approaching each person, individual, family situation in a way that assumes that they have some kind of trauma or have experienced something that is going to require you to handle it with
Isn't that
with care.
everybody? Honestly,
I know.
I don't know
It really
anybody
is.
who hasn't experienced trauma.
Well,
Everybody
I
has.
say too, like the reason why I loved working that job is because of all of the ways that I learned to be like a good, caring friend and family member and partner. It's like you should handle every situation, every person, you know, in a person-centered way. Like you are meeting their needs, you're meeting them where they are, regardless
Right.
if it's my friend, if it's, you know, whoever, and being trauma-informed as well.
I have the best story. Can I
Okay.
tell a little
I love a story.
Okay, so I was working with this rabbi, and the rabbi was giving me assignments every week. And one week, my assignment, he said, okay, I want you to be there for other people. And I looked at him, I'm like, wait. I'm there for everybody. How could you tell me to be there for other people? And he said, well, this week, do it consciously. Okay. So I'm looking, you know, like, how am I going to do this consciously? I help everybody. I'm there for everybody. I do everything for everybody. So a friend calls me up. She goes, she tells me she's sick. And I'm like, oh, my God, you're sick. Okay, I'm going to run to the store. I'm going to get you orange juice. I'm going to get you chicken soup. I'm going to get you matzo balls. I'm going to get you. She's like, no, I don't need anything. I just wanted you to know that I wasn't feeling well. So I'm not going to be talking on the phone the next couple of days. And I realized that what I was doing to be there for others was flying into their space, telling them what I thought they needed, deciding for them how to make them better, and to really, really, what I learned, to be there for others, the first thing you have to do is take a giant step back, pull yourself out of it, and make enough room for them to come step in so they could ask for what they need.
Right. So that's person-centered care. And that's also why it's really important to have representation really in anything that you're doing, from making like decisions as a case manager with your clientele to creating legislation that affects a certain group. If you are not getting any input from the demographic that you're serving, then you're not doing anything.
Right.
And, you know, we saw one of the things that we did, I was on the Heart of Texas Homeless Coalition as well, which is basically just like a collective people.
Heart of Texas.
So fast. Heart of Texas Homeless Coalition.org. Just kidding. But you can if you want.
Okay, put it up there.
But one of the things that we did was my actually fiance now, but we were both on the board together.
I've been noticing this over
so
here.
shiny. Is this a good light from my diamond?
Hold on. It is so beautiful. Congratulations
Thank you so
on your
much.
engagement.
Thank you.
And you and your fiance have relocated and have whole new opportunities, still bringing the wisdom and the width and breadth of what you've learned into your new life here.
Yeah. So we decided, because we were both kind of in the throes of the work we were doing, and there were a lot of changes in our community, a lot of changes in both of our organizations, and we decided, so my last day of work was like September 1st, and then we moved on September 2nd. And we
leave it to you. It sounds like something you would do, and I'm just getting to know you.
Well, and in August, we were both like, you know what, let's take a sabbatical. Like, let's not look for jobs right now. We have some savings, we have support, we have each other. Like, let's just move and then figure it out. You know, and here I am, like, a million months later, and I still have no job, but that's okay. Still figuring it out. But we were really in it, but we met in that field too. And so what I was saying before about the business outreach, part of it was also going to other organizations who were doing good, but there wasn't like a coordinated effort. And so where we saw that a lot was like with faith-based communities and faith-based organizations, which really like genuinely do such amazing work, but sometimes when there's not like a good coordination also with like the like the agencies in town, like agencies of the state and other like organizations that are doing this work and getting funding for this work. Like you see a lot of like doubling up on services and kind of saturating certain areas. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was we wanted to coordinate that better so that we weren't getting like 10 churches in the community like going to the same area every Sunday and doing the same thing for the same exact people. And also we wanted to let them know what the needs were. And so we would do surveys for clients and just kind of like the community that we were working with to really like get an idea of what they needed, what they were looking for.
You are so passionate about this work that you've done,
working
with the homeless and the mental ill. Now you also have moved that into, and this is where you used your social media skills, because you created an artistic community in Waco. And we'll talk about that in just a second. It happens to do with figure drawing of the...
Not finger drawing this time.
I thought it was finger drawing. That's the first time I heard you say it. It's like figure drawing. And it happens with nude models.
It sure does.
And it's absolutely fascinating. So before we move further with Karisa Garner, my guest here in the studio today for the Sterling Spin podcast, and I'm Liz Sterling, and I'm so glad that you're with us. I want to thank you for being here on the YouTube channel. I'd like to ask you to please subscribe. Once you subscribe, then you can choose to get notified. Just click the little bell, and every Sunday we drop a new show, and you will be notified, and you could tune in and find out what exciting, new, interesting guest is joining me in the studio, because I have lined up for the next 8 weeks a potpourri of guests who come from so many walks of life, and I'm thrilled to share them with you and to get to know them better while we're here in the studio. Also, you may have a story. I'd love to hear about your story, and you may be saying to yourself, hey, let's make sure we support the Sterling Spin. So please, we're looking for sponsors as well so that we can keep coming here every single week to you, to your phone, to your screen, to wherever you are. So contact me at sterlingspin@gmail.com. That's how you get to me. It's sterlingspin@gmail.com. And Karisa Gardner in the studio with us. She parlayed some of her talent and skills, which, wow, your passion is great. You're also an artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have imposter syndrome. I mentioned that earlier, but that's the disease I have. So just bear with me.
I do too.
Yeah, don't we all?
My goodness. It's so hard. Like I look in the mirror and I'm like, who do you think you are?
I know. What are you doing? Are you wearing jeans today? Who do you think you are? Yeah.
What? I mean, come on. You're going to go put on a happy face and then you're going to come home and you're going to go, bleh. And it's like, I think I'm so glad they labeled the imposter syndrome. And I found out like I'm not the only person who suffers from it. And it's like everybody feels like, I think it's okay to have a persona and a personality and a put on a happy face that we bring into the world. And it doesn't have to be 24/7. I mean, I feel like I'm coming to terms with the imposter syndrome, and I'm just saying it's all of me.
Yeah.
And I like it. It's like all of me.
Yeah, I have no choice but to like it. It's there.
Exactly. And if it's who you are and that's what you bring around, I might as well like it.
Yeah.
Even move toward loving it because it's all of me anyway.
Yep.
I interviewed Isabella Rossellini years ago, and the name of her book was Some of Me. I said, why some of me? She goes, there's no way I would ever let anyone know about all of me. And it was that part that was part of that imposter syndrome that you want to hide that you don't think is good enough.
Well, hide, but also I've also been learning because I'm quite the oversharer. I mean, I tell everybody all my business all the time, and I really need to like take a step back from that. But there's also I heard somebody say like that there are some parts that you should keep sacred for yourself. And so it's not that you have shame about it necessarily, but it's like some things you should be yours. And so I've been thinking about that a lot, but I mean, it's still so hard because I'm like, if I meet you, I'm telling you my medical history and my trauma because I'm like, I want to put it all up front.
Right.
You know?
And know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
And this is all that. Well, but you didn't do that at all when we met.
I know. I'm trying really hard.
I want you to know
Thank you.
You did a great job.
Thank you very much.
You just showed me some of you.
I did a very tiny little piece.
And I really, really like every part of you that I'm seeing. So let's get a little into the artist because you're here. You're working in the studio with us. You're helping with the social media for the Sterling Spin podcast. And I hope you're having fun because I think all of us opened our arms and welcomed you in. And we're like, oh, we're so happy to have your energy. And you really are great. You're
I know.
fun
Before
to
you
be
guys
with.
even saw what I did, I'm like, all right, I hope I can deliver.
And we already were like, oh, we love everything about
I know.
you.
I'm like, no pressure.
There's no pressure at all whatsoever. So, okay, not finger drawing.
Figure drawing.
Right.
Yes.
Figure
like
drawing.
you're drawing a figure. So it's literally like the oldest type of art to do is drawing the human body, drawing a person. And so the reason why we started it, so again, my fiance and I started this. We've done so many things together. We work too well together.
Yeah, we work great
we do
together.
everything.
Yeah.
Well, this is scandalous, but he did used to be my boss, but he's not anymore. But because of that, it's like, it was so natural. Like we just work so well together. So we like started an art business. We've done we've done so many random things together because we enjoy each other so much. And he also says yes to everything, which is a really good partner for me. I started really getting into drawing people, doing portraits and nude drawings during COVID. And I was having to drive. So I lived in Waco, which is like smack dab in the middle of the Bible Belt. It's there are just a few things that are, it's a little conservative in many respects, but like even in the artist respect, which I've always found odd because I feel like art is like such an outward expression that like nothing is off bounds with art.
I think anything goes when it comes to art. It ought
genuinely,
to.
yeah. And so I was having a lot of trouble like finding a figure drawing class, and even like the university there, Baylor, I had a friend who was a fine arts major there, and she was telling us that even like the figure drawing classes there, they would have the models in bathing suits, and I'm like, that defeats the purpose of the whole thing. And so I was driving to Austin to go to this figure drawing class on Sundays, but it was like such a pain. It was like an hour and a half. If there's no traffic, it would take my entire day. And so I had a friend who owned a gallery downtown, and I was like, hey, have you guys thought about doing figure drawing classes? And she's like, nope, you want to do it? And I'm like, well, I don't know how to do that. You know, I'm not
I'm surprised you didn't just say, sure.
You
because
think.
that's like you.
Well, I did say sure. After like 15 minutes, I was like, okay, I guess I'll figure it out. And so I reached out to like some models and some figure drawing groups online. Like there was one that I followed from, it's called Brixton Life Drawing. It's in England. And so I like was emailing them, and I'm like, hey, what should I do? And then this other model, and I was like, what would you want as a model? Like, what should I bring? I mean, I had no idea what to do. And he gave me some tips, and then my fiance and I just were like, let's just figure it out. And so we this is where I started doing social media
for your own
for my
classes
own group,
that you were they art classes that you were offering?
So no, I call them sessions because they're not taught. They're just a drop in, like, come draw this model.
Naked.
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
No, so actually not everybody is naked. That's I just want to make that very clear.
Come naked.
That's a different kind of
easy.
event.
Okay. Right.
So no, we would, and what was cool is all of these models, like kind of similar to me doing this, like everyone was so new at this. Like we had a couple of artists that would come, and they've done this before. You know, we had art teachers come and people who have been doing fine arts for decades. And but most of our models had never ever in their life modeled before, and like definitely hadn't modeled nude live for a figure drawing class. And so I just I did a lot of research, and I was like, okay, what do I have to do? How do I advertise this? Where do I advertise this?
And I bet you weren't using ChatGPT at the time.
I wasn't. I don't even know if ChatGPT
was around
there
then.
yet.
I don't know. Right you said 2020, 21,
I was having to make up stuff out of my brain. So
make up stuff out of your brain. That's what we used to do.
Yeah, I know, back in the old day. So yeah, we were really lucky to have a free studio space, and we had to figure out a couple things with like the timing, the lighting, like how to make sure the model was comfortable, how to make sure that this was safe for the model also. Like that was probably the most important thing.
Very important. Of course, you have to create a space of safety.
Yeah, you have somebody little at
you
their
have
most
somebody in there.
vulnerable.
You don't even know what they could
Yeah, so I would tell the models, I would usually meet with them beforehand, bring them to the studio,
Put them in plexiglass. No, I'm kidding.
and I would tell them, like, if there's somebody in here who makes you uncomfortable for any reason, no questions asked, I'll ask them to leave, come back to the next session, like, regardless of, I mean, you don't have to tell me for any reason. Wow. And I would let models, like, if they wanted to bring emotional support, they could bring that. If they wanted to, bring their vape, whatever they needed to do to feel comfortable and relaxed. And I mean, we got to the point where, I mean, even now we have so many models that I can't.
So this is still, you're not there in Waco, but it's still going on. It's still happening. So you used all your knowledge, research, studying, gathering information, then social media, then building the word in the community, then creating a safe space. And from there, you built this whole business.
Yeah. So we're kind of like the advocacy part comes into this too, is it was getting to be expensive. In order to pay the models and without knowing how many people would show up, we would charge for our 2-hour sessions. We would charge $10 per artist. For our 3-hour sessions, we would charge $15. But artists know artists don't have money. Yeah. And so for somebody to want to come regularly, it's going to clean them out. I mean, it's just too expensive. And we hated that we were having we weren't getting a ton of people consistently because it was just getting to be too expensive. And a lot of times Sean would use his own money to pay the model because
your fiance.
Yes, my wonderful fiance.
He's a wonderful fiance.
He's a perfect human.
I'm like, your guy is so nice. You're like, and handsome too. And
he is. I just want to make sure everybody knows that they're allowed to say it because I know they're thinking it. He's handsome.
He's a very handsome man.
I know. He's so handsome.
And you know what? It's like you're in people's heads and you're like, it's okay. You could say he's
you
handsome.
Can say it. I want to make sure you know.
And then when you say it, it's like, oh, okay, the cat's out of the bag. Yeah. Like he's a very wonderful, but it's not just handsome on the outside.
He's so nice. He's too nice. I'm the mean one.
Something about your fiance. It's like there's a warmth and a care. And then, of course, he absolutely adores you.
I know he's obsessed with me.
Okay, well, I didn't say the word
obsessed. It's nice. I love it.
And it's just wonderful. And he cares so much. So it's just an absolute pleasure to know that you're in such good, loving company and care.
I'm so lucky. And he used his grant writing skills to write a grant so that we could offer the classes for free and pay the models $30 an hour, buy supplies for artists who didn't have any. And it's still going. So we got the grant and then we were like, oh my gosh, we're moving like in 6 months. What do we do? And so I just did like a call to artists who wanted to volunteer their time to facilitate. And and so they facilitate and we manage the models, the money, the advertising. And I think
social media?
Yep, social media. Yeah, I mean, it's all on just Instagram and Facebook.
So when you came to the Chamber event and then you were met by Laura from Butterscotch Studios, and what did she say to you? How did you end up coming to me?
So I was joking about how, like, I'm just a housewife. What am I doing all day? Not just a housewife, but I don't have a lot of things going on. I just moved here. I don't have really a community yet. And so I've just been feeling like very aimless. I went from doing a full-time job, like a full-time job. And then also like all of my friends were there. Like I had a great personal community, professional community. I have a lot of extracurriculars. And so then I come to Colorado, which is fantastic.
Love it.
But it's like, I'm starting new. It's like I'm the new kid in school, but then I'm also like homeschooled. So I'm like, how am I making friends, building a community? And so I was going to the Chamber events. Sean is part of Chamber for his job. And I'm his like networking guru, I guess, because he's shy. And so I'm like, well, if we're going to come here, we can't just eat food, even though the Chamber is amazing.
Food was very good.
So it's the most amazing events I've ever seen. And I'm like, we got to at least get 2 contacts. And so, we're talking to Laura and her wife, and I'm just talking about like, I don't know, what am I going to do? And she was like, I was just talking to somebody who needs social media. And I was like, I wouldn't say I'm like a social media person. I'm just like 31. So I naturally know how to do things. Right. And she was like, and it doesn't matter. You could just meet her and see if you guys vibe. And so I met you, and you loved me immediately. And
I did.
So then you invited me like in a few days to come to the studio, and I'm like, I guess I'm doing this now. So,
and I think I remember you saying it was so surreal because the first time you came in to the studio, and at the end of the day, you were like, I don't really know how I got here.
I had literally no idea. I don't
know how this happened.
I went home and Sean's like, how was your day? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's so weird because how did I even get into this? And then from the filming last week, I'm now helping somebody else with social media for their event. And it's like, I guess I do social media now. Like, I'm very confused about what I'm doing. I haven't even mentioned it to all my friends because it's been going so fast.
I'm so happy and so grateful. I love how life is leading you to do the things that you love. And when you love what you're doing, life gives you more.
Well, I'm also trying a lot of stuff. Like to what you were saying something earlier about how you would expect me to just say sure to a bunch of things. I'm really trying to step out of myself, out of the imposter syndrome, and just like say yes to things, especially because I'm in a new community. And so, the only way to meet people and grow is to
just say yes.
Open yourself. And so I'm saying yes to a lot of things. Things like I eat kale now, and I'm like, I just said yes one day, and now I eat vegetables.
Oh my goodness. So, I get kale from the CSA every Tuesday, so I can bring you fresh kale that I would love that. I love it.
I love it. And it's like, I didn't even know I would like kale. Now I like kale.
Oh gosh.
Because I said yes. And it's because of my sabbatical, I have the time and I'm able to
so many different ways to work with kale. So I'm so glad you're here because we have so much to talk about. Just want to say thank you so much, Karisa, for showing up, for being here, for saying yes.
Yes.
And for joining us here.
I didn't have a choice. Just kidding.
Right, you don't have a choice.
I know. It's like, I guess I'm
this is like I have to be. So right in this moment in time, if somebody wants to learn more about you or meet you more or find out about the figure drawing that's going on, or is there a way that you want people to be able to access you?
Sure. Well, first on Instagram, at the Sterling Spin. That's a great place to see what some of the stuff I do.
Oh, you are good.
Just saying. And then if you happen to be in the heart of Texas region, then you can go to wacolifedrawing, at wacolifedrawing on Instagram. And if you just want to follow me, I do have a public Instagram because I like to tag celebrities that I like in my stories, and I want to see if they'll follow me back and if they'll see it. Because
I'm so excited. I get to see the celebs you like. And you're a millennial, and there's so much I can learn from you. So thank you so much for showing up.
But that's at karisafication, which is
Excuse me?
You're just going to have to figure it out.
Karisa, Karisafication.
Yes. It's like Californication, but karisafication.
Oh, I love that program. It was really good. Did you see Friends and Neighbors right now on Apple TV?
I don't have Apple TV.
John Hamm.
Oh, I do. Maybe I'll get it.
OMG. Very good. I think it's like 6 or 7 episodes.
I have so many shows right now. It's overwhelming. And I love television so much. I have so many shows right now. I'm so overwhelmed.
Okay, well, and I'm not giving you any more. I'm saying,
no, give it to me. Because I want it. And then I'll put it on my list. There's so many. I have a whole life. I got time.
I know. You've got a whole life. And thank you for sharing this part of your life with us here at the Sterling Spin. Well, until next time, thank you, Karisa, for being with us, for joining us. Thank you for being here at the Sterling Spin podcast. Please subscribe right here on YouTube. Hit the little bell for notification. We thank you for showing up as well. Life is happening. It's unfolding each and every day. There's always something new to learn. There's always something new to experience. And there's always something new to celebrate. Celebrating you today. Thank you. Bye-bye. Best story. Ready?
Okay.
It's only because we're talking about buttholes.
We're not. You are.
I think I overheard buttholes out there, but okay, anyway, so This is the story. It came from the Newlywed Game, and it's a true story. Bob Eubanks used to be the MC for the Newlywed Game. Anybody familiar here? Or are you all
Yes.
millennials?
I know about it.
Oh, you do?
I sure do.
So, okay, he has the men, and he asks the men while the women are in seclusion, what's the most unusual place that you've done it? So one guy goes, oh, we did it on the kitchen counter. Kids were upstairs. That was really cool. Second guy says, we did it in the shed. We were on the hay. It was really nice. Third guy goes, and so then, okay, now it's time to bring the ladies in. Ladies, where's the most unusual place where you did it? And this woman turns around. She goes, why, Bob, that would be in the butt, Bob. That's where it was, in the butt.
Now we're going to clip that. And
In the butt, Bob.
also, this is 2025. There are no weird places. Butthole's regular. I just want the camera to know that everything's cool. Very
It's
kosher.
all- okay, this was probably in 1980.
No.
You could go to
butt,
prison for that.
Hush hush back then, right?
I
It was
know.
like, right, you didn't. But everything is cool now.
That was,
I feel
if that
like
was 1980, then this was a reboot of the Newlywed Game. Because that was 1960
60
when
something, right?
when the original.
oh,
Newlywed
really?
Game-
Oh, well, then it was Bob Eubanks from
Yeah.
Yeah, she could have
Newlywed.
been arrested. She shouldn't have said that
So-
on the air.
The most